Well, I grew up in the United States, moved around some, primarily in the Midwest, we call it, in Ohio, New York, those areas. But I have 3 children that are all in the U.S. now. I've been married 32 years to my wife, who's been here in India with me, Sean. And my background, I started coaching when I was just 24 years old. And I was a college coach for about 25 years at different levels, a head coach for most of that time. And then prior to coming to India, I joined the Dallas Mavericks, coached their development league team. And then I've been in India here for 2 years. So. Well, I started playing pretty young. You know, I was probably in the United States. You know, we start a little sooner, and I'm trying to talk to the Indian people about that. If they really want to be great players, you know, it helps to start earlier. But I probably started around the age of 9 or 10 years old, something like that. Played in some kids leagues, you know, and went to some camps, basketball camps, and then I also played baseball. I was a 2-sport athlete and played baseball even through college and a little bit of Class A ball. So, yeah. Huge. It's, you know, besides my parents and those mentors that I look up to, sports has really formed who I am. I've told so many people that there's so many lessons you can learn in sports, from working with other people to handling adversity, to knowing how to be humble when you have victories. It's really so many things that you learn from sports. And in fact, that's why I tell people here in India, I don't think you have to choose between academics and sports. I think, you know, sports is a classroom in itself. And some of the players that I've coached in the past, some of my best players were the very best students in school, because they were so passionate and driven to be excellent and do well. And so I've heard a lot about people here in India that kind of give up sports just to only study. And my question for them, and I'm getting off track a little bit, but you got me started here, is how many hours do you have in a day when they say they quit sports to just only work on their academics? Well, by the time they run down all the time they study, and they sleep, and they have food, meals, they usually are still left about 5 or 6 hours in the day. And I said, well, what do you do with those 5 or 6 hours? And they said, well, not much, watch TV or play video games or whatever. I said, there's your balance. You know, you could, even if you used an hour a day to work on your game, there's always going to be time there. You can still put a lot of time into your studies. So I preach a lot about having balance in your life. Be a great student, be the best student you can. But I think, you know, we only live once, and you know, you want a well-rounded life and be able to do some other things as well. And sports is a big part of that. So I'll get back to where you asked that question. Well, I'm here not only to coach the senior team, but I was assigned, or really have taken on, you know, to make a difference in basketball in general here in India. So I also work with the younger national teams, the U14, 16, and 18. I go into their camps and run those camps for about a week or so, and then I'm training the coaches at the same time I'm training the players. And so at that point, then I turn it over to the Indian coaches, and they take it from there. Now with the senior team, I'm the head coach, and I spend all that time along with my assistant coaches training them. And so besides that, I've done a lot of coaches clinics. I've done some instructional videos that we're putting out now. And so, you know, my job is bigger than just coaching the senior team, but excuse me, that's a big part of it too. Yeah. And so I feel like we've made some progress. When I came here, you know, there were a lot of things to work on, and some basic fundamentals. My first camp was pretty much just player development. We didn't run a lot of offenses or defenses. We just worked on our skills. And so we still have a long way to go. But I feel like we've made some progress. I think now we're finally competing with the better teams. Yeah. We've beaten some of them, and still not able to beat some of them, but I think we've made that first step, and now they have to worry about India when they play us. You know, we're competitive with them. now we need to take that next step and really get some more wins and beat more of those teams. Well, it takes a lot. I'll be honest with you. Those are the greatest players in the world. But there are a lot of other places to play basketball too. And I have no problem with someone saying they want to play in the NBA. They ought to think that way. Yeah. But if they don't reach that goal, there's so many places to play in Asia here or in Europe, play some professional ball. And even, as you know, many of our senior players, their jobs in the companies they work for are to play basketball. So they're not in a pro league per se, but they're being paid, to play basketball. And I don't think it'll be very long now until we have a pro league here in India. I don't want to make promises because I know we've heard a lot about it, but I think it's getting closer and closer. The next couple of years probably we'll see a pro league. And that'll give these young players even more to look forward to and to have a goal for. But, shoot for the NBA. If you can make it there, that's great. But there's a lot of other great places to play and places that you can accomplish a lot. Of course, I mentioned that before. It's important, but it's not the end of the world. And I've learned that early on. I'm as competitive as anyone, and I love to win. But it's not everything. And I do get over it. And I would say the same to my players. And you kind of move on. But I think when they're young, you really want to make it fun. You want them to enjoy it, not push them too hard. And then as they start to get older and it becomes more competitive, you still want it to be fun, but you have to be more disciplined and you're really playing to do your best. When I tell my players how I want them to play, it's not always just about winning. I'm trying to get the most out of them. I want you to reach your full potential, and the winning will take care of itself. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But basically I tell my players 3 things to play for me. One is they really need to play hard. And I believe that in all areas of life. Give your best. Yeah. Why do things halfway? Why do things if you're really not wanting to succeed? So these are things they can control. So the first thing I tell them is play hard. Second thing is play together. This is a team sport. If you want to be accountable on your own and you want to do your own thing, then play golf or tennis or something like that. But when you play basketball, you got to work with others. And so it's important that you work together and you're not out there alone. And then the last thing that kind of goes with that is that I ask them to put team above self. And because it is a team sport, what I've said many times, when you join a team, whether it be cricket or basketball or football, you kind of lose some of your individual rights. And you have to think more about what I'm doing to help the team improve. And it's good to have individual goals, but your individual goals need to align with the team goals as well. So. Well, I'm a demanding coach, but I think I'm a friend of the players as well. And I had the best coach I ever had was my last year in college. And I played for a lot of different coaches. Some of them thought you had to hate them to perform. Some of them were too friendly and buddy, and there wasn't enough respect. And I had a coach my senior year in college who was able to do both. Boy, he was demanding and he was disciplined, and I everything he asked me to do, I felt like I needed to do. But he was also my friend, and he reached out to me, and I had a good relationship with him. So, I finally found out you could do that. I wasn't sure about that before that. So basically, I've kind of taken on that same role, that I'm a leader, and I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to be demanding with my players. But if all it is just winning and losing and yelling at them and just trying to win games, and I'd rather do something else. A big part of who I am is building a relationship with my players. Almost every day, I've coached a lot of players through my years. Almost every day I hear from one of them in some way, whether it be an email or a Facebook message or a call or whatever. And that's what's great about coaching, is all the relationships you have. And that's true with these Indian players too. I think they would say that, I push them and I'll yell at them at times, but I'm their cheerleader too. And what I tell young coaches is, if you're going to yell at somebody and be negative, you better about 4 or 5 times more, really celebrate them and tell them how well they're doing. And I think some coaches miss that. And in the long run, the most important thing is having a great relationship with them where you can even make a difference in other areas of their life. Well, I think you're talking about mental toughness there and mental attitude, and I think that's a big part of the game. A lot of players have the skills and the physical, skills to do it, ability, but if they don't have the mental part of it and really visualizing what their goals are and how they're going to play, and I talk a lot about playing in the present. So many players worry about what happened that play before. If they made a mistake or they fouled or coach yelled at them, well, they're worried all about what happened, prior to where they are, and it really hurts their play. The other thing, you don't want to think too far in the future, like if, what the final score is going to be and how badly we're going to beat this team or we're not good enough to play with this team. So I think it's really important that you play in the present. How am I going to win this possession? My players, they hear me all the time. Let's just win this possession, this one possession. And then when that's over, we'll try to win the next possession. And don't think about the whole game. And I think too many players are worried about what's happened in the past, what's in the future, and they really need to just think about, this next play I need to make. And I need to, have that vision you're talking about and make sure that I take care of things right now. Well, the great thing about any sport is there's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it is difficult when you've lost the same team over and over. I've been in those positions. I've been on the other side of it too. But I also know in a lot of those long streaks, there finally comes a time, and I'll give you an example. One right now is 80 years of basketball. We never beat China. And so when I came in here, I didn't tell them we're necessarily going to beat China, but this is a new day. We're going to believe we can win every game, and we play to win, and sometimes it works out. And so, there's a great example of it.
Yep.
Our guys could easily say we've lost for 80 years, we've never beaten them, we have no chance, but we didn't go into that game that way. We felt like, let's win every possession, let's play our best, and let's see how it turns out. And what do you know? We beat China. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
The only good thing about a loss is you can learn from it, and then you need to put it aside and move on. Losing is not fun, and I don't like any part of it. I hate losing, but that you can learn from losing. You learn with the mistakes you've made, and it's important that you learn from those and you don't make the same mistakes again in that next game, or at least you limit those. Whether it be turnovers or not playing good defense or whatever you might be talking about, learn from it. A lot of times we'll watch film of the games, and there's nothing better than, watching film. Film doesn't lie, and you see what you've done. And so let's learn from this. Let's not dwell in it. Let's not think about that loss except for learning from it, and then let's move on and forget it. So. I've been asked that many times, and my goal would be to win a gold medal in the Olympics. Now I know we're a long way from that, and so again, I kind of go back to my job right now is to get the most out of these players, to see how far we can go, to reach our potential, and then those things will take care of themselves. And hopefully that means moving up and getting higher in the rankings and getting up there in the tournaments. And we've experienced some success here, enough to kind of know what it tastes like. We won the Lusophoniya Games, won the gold medal there, and although those weren't the very top teams, they were good teams we beat in that. And then, of course, the win against China, and then later against Kazakhstan, and then playing, right there with Iran and the Philippines, had a chance to win those games. So, I think we're gaining that confidence, and then we want to make that next step and finish more of those games. So, hopefully, whether we can be in the top 8 or top 6, top 4, I just know right now we're getting closer, we're more competitive, And now we need to take that step in winning some games, and the rankings and the places will take care of themselves.
Brilliant.
The opportunities are opening up more. Like I said before, even now, there's chances for the top players to get jobs, playing basketball in India as well as other sports. I think there are a lot of now pro opportunities all over the world. Everybody thinks NBA, well, those are the very best players. But there are leagues in the Philippines and Indonesia and in all over Europe and in China. And so there's all different levels of playing basketball. Now, you still have to be a really good player to play any pro basketball in any situation like that. But, you don't have to be limited to just those NBA players. The other thing is, maybe you go on and you become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, you're still going to be better off for playing a sport, and it's going to be something you can do recreationally rather than maybe just running or whatever. But it's always been a big part of my life. I know I'm in sports, but I have many friends that like to still play and like to get out, and whether tennis or golf or play some basketball. And so, again, it's just a part of balance and having a good, well-rounded life.
Brilliant.